Or
All right, awesome. Welcome back, everybody, to Aligning with Success. Mike DiMuccio, your host. It's December 6th. We are in the last month of the year, which has been a phenomenal year by any standard. I think it's quite amazing. Now we've had 2 years of craziness in the world, and that doesn't seem to be letting up in any way. And yet our business continues to just keep sailing on. So, wow, talk about evidence that we're in the right place at the right time. There couldn't be better evidence of that than your business thriving in times where things are just chaotic. So I want to say congratulations to all of you who made 2021 a year to share Niken with others. Many of you have been doing it for decades like me. I'm coming up on my anniversary. Speaking of which, just a little commercial on the 20th of December. That'll probably be, I'm not sure, I got to check the calendar, maybe the last or second to last call of the year for me, for the Aligning Success call before we start up again. But I have a surprise. It is the day after my 30th year anniversary in Niken. So I thought I would invite Botanis, who was my co-collaborator in the opening months, the opening days, the opening weeks, the opening months of getting Niken going here in Canada. And I thought what we would do for you, especially in lieu of what we're going to cover tonight, we would give you a play-by-play of what our thinking was, what our strategy was. Can you please, if you've got background noise, if you can mute out, it's just really distracting. Mike Barcroft, that's you. Sorry. All right. Protocol, guys. Come on, we're not novices on this thing. Get it together. So, yeah, so we're going to give you a play-by-play of what it was that we did, what our thinking was, our strategic approach to kickstarting a new market. And the reason I thought that would be relevant was A, because it's going to be the 30th anniversary of that event, that activity. B, we're going to be talking tonight about highlights from the Gopro event. For those of you who attended, you're going to be the contributors to this call. For those of you who are not on the GoPro, this GoPro, then you're going to listen and maybe take some notes. Because one of the things that I heard repeated over and over again, I'm sure it's going to come up, is the 90-day run, the 90-day plan. How relevant, how important that is. And you might think, well, wait a second. I'm way past 90 days in my business. So how can I be talking about a 90-day run? Well, that's exactly the point. Why aren't you talking about a 90-day run? I did 4 in my Niken career personally to go from startup to Royal Diamond. The first 90-day run got me to gold. The second 90-day run got me to platinum. The third 90-day run got me to diamond, and the last 90-day run got me to Royal Diamond. Each one was a planned 90-day run. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't, oh, I hope I get there someday, one day. I made it happen. I designed it, I executed it, and did everything happen exactly right? No, didn't matter, still happened. So you're going to see what Eric was talking about, Eric Worre, in the GoPro, when he kept talking about 90-day blast, a 90-day run, a 90, you can do it anytime. It's planned, it's staged, it's created, it's executed, and you create an event, an experience from that 90 days. So one of the things that I'm charged with working on is in terms of Niken, and what I've always developed since I've been in Niken. For those of you who know me this long, you know what this is. This is the U-Cube system. This was published in 1994. What is it? It's the, well, here's it is. your first 48 hours. And then your first 90 days, go duplicate. So it's all about a strategy. It's all about planning this like a business and executing it like a business builder. Now, those of you who've never had an experience in business, that's okay. It took me a while to figure it out too, but it didn't stop me from doing the right things. We then, tabled it. We then drew from the experience of others. When I first sat down to create the UCube system, I kid you not, I sat down with a pile of material that is as high as this desk. Literally document on top of document on top of document of stuff that I had collected and seen other leaders in the industry putting together to explain their version of the business and how to get the business done. So I just thought it was my responsibility to strip through as much of that as I could to distill it into principles, because everybody had their own version of how to do something. But at the end of the day, we are all agreeable that there are some principles that can't be augmented. They're just simply the principles. I'm still getting some background noise. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but if you're not muted, yeah, thank you, Barbara. Okay, so yeah, so that was it. That was the key, is to create a replicatable, duplicatable system with a 90-day blast. I've only ever taught that. I've never not taught that. There's only two things I teach: the process and the launch strategy. Those are the only two things I teach. Those are the only two things that matter as far as I'm concerned with respect to building an organization. Enough said about that. If you want to learn more about what exactly we did, because I have a really good recollection of those moments, since they were characterized in books and was actually written up on in a book. If you want to read up my story from a little bit earlier, there was a guy by the name of Mark Yarnell who wrote a book. Mark Yarnell was a big name in Amway and other network marketing companies. He wrote a book called Your First Year in Network Marketing. I tell you, that book is pretty accurate. If you are in your first year of network marketing, you might rather enjoy that book, Your First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Yarnell. And what was interesting about that book, by the way, actually in my desk behind me, I actually found the letter I sent him when he asked me to write an introduction to myself. So I actually have the actual hard copy that I sent. We didn't have email or fax. I guess we had fax back then. But anyway, Mark Yarnell wrote me up in his book as the exception to the rule. So I don't know why he did that, but I guess it was because when he saw the numbers, my statistics, they were not normal, according to him, or according to the people he had interviewed. And so I don't understand that personally, because they were just perfectly normal to me, and they seem to be pretty normal in Nikan. So yeah, when we talk about the rule of thirds, for instance, that's one of the things that we learned, because that's what we experienced. Was a third of the people you talk to are interested, a third of the people who are interested join, a third of the people who are joined move, and a third of the people who are moving hit leadership ranks. There's your numbers. Lesson over. So now that you know the rules, play to win. Simple. Okay, so let's get on with this. So I'm going to come back to this on the 20th of December. Come back, join us, invite whoever you want. And I'm going to have Botanis with me, who was there. So he was also part of the eyewitness that we did this. He'll tell you his version of it. All right, so guys, how many of, I guess I don't have to show hands. We have quite a few of you on the line. Many of us attended GoPro this weekend. Some of you took my advice just on spec and said, okay, let's do it. If Mike's really recommending this, we should do it. Many of you have heard about it. Many of you have even participated before. Regardless, there's never an event you go to that you don't come away with something. That's just always the way it is. We could read the same book 5 times and come away with 5 new things each time. So I think it's important that events become a part of your business building and planning. And if it's not that way yet, then you've missed a very significant component to business building in our industry of network marketing. It is totally event dependent. And I can completely attribute the growth of my business to events. Whether you consider events large or small, they were events driven. Today, most of our events seem to be happening online, but that doesn't stop the event from being a significant event. Eric's event, 3 days, was 75,000 people. You imagine that, 75,000 people in a Zoom meeting, listening and learning from some of the most amazing people in our industry and outside of industry. We had some incredible speakers. Dean Graziosi, for instance, is just he's so charming and such a beautiful person to listen to. His teachings are so on point, laser focused and clean and clear and totally authentic, and his ethics are impeccable. So you get that kind of training. Honestly, I don't care what you paid for your ticket. You got your money's worth, way more than your money's worth. So what I congratulate that team of people who put that event together, starting with Eric and his wife Marina. Man, they got it going on, and they deserve every ounce of recognition they get, because they really are doing something that's wonderful for our industry. So how many of you, let's just start up. If you were at that event, I want to hear from you. I'd like to know the one greatest takeaway you got from this 3-day weekend, whether you were there for 1 day or all 3 days. What was the one most significant thing you took away from the event? So yeah, let's do it the way Barbara's doing it. So I want to just do this in order so we don't miss anybody. Just go ahead and click on the hand. So you go to reactions on the bottom of your chessboard there, go to reactions and raise your, there it is. Raise your hand, and then then you'll just go into the queue and we'll be able to follow you that way. So Barbara Richmond, what was the greatest takeaway you got from those 3 days? And guys, take notes. This is it. You're getting the Coles Notes version from people who know Nikan, know network marketing, and know GoPro.
It's hard to pick one, but the one that I did pick was people buy you before they buy your business.
Okay. Write that down. So excellent. Do you want to add to that? What was it about that really just struck you?
Yeah, it was stormy, and well, I have others, but I'll just stick to that one now. If we have time, come back to me. I'll give another.
People buy you before they buy your business. In other words, if they don't get a feeling from you that's trust, that's centered in trust, they're not going to trust anything you have to say. They're going to think whatever it is that you're
low energy, they're not interested. If you're high energy, they become engaged.
And if you're authentic, I would add.
Absolutely.
When you see people, like there were different personalities on that stage. There are some who talk like this and they're so excited and they can't help themselves because they're so excited and they want to get their point across, and they got 17 minutes to get it across, and they're just, so there's people like that. We love them. A little hard to listen to for 17 minutes straight, but they're high energy. They're genuine. They really mean what they say. And then there are some who are very factual, very matter of fact. They have their stats. They have their way of doing things. They're very on point. They don't have to raise their voice. They make their case. So styles are great. Everybody's style is relevant. It's good. You got different personality styles. So, but the key is be authentic, however you come across. Okay, because people are going to buy you before they buy whatever you're selling. Pam.
Yes, it was fabulous. As you see, we're in the car. What hit me different than I have heard from anywhere else was be in the happiness business. What will make you happy? And I actually had an appointment this morning at 10, and I used that word over and over and over again. So that was a little different than, but I'm like Barb. I have.
Can you give us a little context of how you're relating that to your business?
Okay. Well, this lady has a lot of health issues. And I said, would it make you happy to have those issues improved? Maybe not gone, but improved. And she goes, yes. And I said, well, don't you think you deserve the happiness? Your family deserves the happiness. We all need to be happy because that makes us feel good about each other. She goes, yes. And so she agreed with everything, but I just used a term.
Interesting.
Fantastic. Just said it in a sentence, just like feeding numbers into a sentence. You just feed it into the sentence.
That's like
So
going,
Ron's over here.
hey, Ron,
Hey, Mike. Hey, the one, there were so many good things as you've been, I hate to repeat those words. Forgive me if I don't look quite at you because I am driving. But the one thing that I heard multiple times, but is so true, and that is make a decision.
oh yeah,
Truly make a decision. And once you make that decision, it's like the 90-day run. You know, as you were talking about, you plan that before you just jump in and run. So there's a plan, but you made a decision and you're going to do it and do it. And I heard that come through with so many speakers. Make a decision.
wonderful, awesome. Yeah, oh boy, I think everything starts with that. Until that happens, you don't change your frequency. Until you change your frequency, nothing changes, period. So way to go, Ron. That's a good one. Thank you. Mary Bowser.
I think the one thing I really enjoyed was the debate where some of his handpicked folks tried to pick apart what network marketing, you know, and all of the objections. And I really enjoyed that he said and reinforced network marketing is primarily an education business. It's our job to educate people. Most products need people to be educated about. Instead of spending money on ads, our company spends money on us and we're the educators. And that, you know, that really came home very, very much to me for being an educator. And all of his connections, it really stated what network marketing is and that we should be proud to be network marketers. And we need to, if we don't know much about network marketing, we need to learn it and be it and celebrate it because it's got the answer for the future.
My goodness. Yeah, you know, there's always a reluctance, a shyness. I mean, I'm hearing that all the time, especially in the younger crowd now that I'm working with. There's a concern about network marketing, how they are perceived. And when you're born in the Instagram world or the Facebook world, primarily Instagram where they're concerned, it's all about how you look. It's all about your Instagram life. It's not about who you are for real. It's just how you are perceived. So there's so much of a smokescreen that people put up that is not real, that, you know, if it affects or tarnishes in any way their perception of their image, then they're going to be gun shy about representing that. And here he is with his event saying full on, peel it off, man. Let people know exactly what the industry is and why you are proud to represent it by talking about what it is, not what it isn't. Most people are in fantasy world when they think about what it isn't. It's what it is that makes it brilliant. So yeah, awesome. Network marketing is an education business. Typically, you learn about products in network marketing, products that are not well regarded or well known in that sense. They've not yet hit what's called critical mass, where a product can actually be feasible on the store shelf. They will not occupy real estate on traditional store shelves because people don't know yet the benefits of them. And that's where the education comes from. And boy, talk about Nikken fitting right in the bill, right? You know, when you look at Nikken products, you know, can you ever imagine walking through a Walmart and seeing a pair of Nikken insoles stuck on the side of one of those shelves? No, you can't. Nobody know what the heck a magnetic insole is for. Why would anybody, they just, you see yourself, why would anybody buy a magnetic insole and just keep walking by? So yeah, without the education, people don't know what it is. So that's the business we're in. That's why we take that's why the compensation plan is rich, because it's in the front end of the life cycle of a product where the money has to be invested to educate the population about its value. So you're either going to spend the money on tons of advertising, or, you know, you get representation by athletes or actors and actresses or whatever. You spend millions of dollars that way, or you empower the population. That's by the way, one of my answers as well as to why Nikken chose network marketing, besides that answer, is because Nikken is not in the product business, they're in the people business. Humans being more is about the development of people. And if you can cooperate with the company and share in the profits of the company and develop your entrepreneurial spirit, then what you're doing is you're becoming a better version of yourself, which is the ultimate goal of Nikken. So it's not about pushing products. It's about becoming more. That's really the ultimate experience in NECAN. Cool. Good stuff. Barb Satterwhite.
Okay, first of all, I love Dean. And how do you spell his last name?
Oh,
Put it in the chat when you find it,
Okay.
because I never grabbed that, but he was awesome.
Gracios. Okay, well, I'll find it.
Yeah, and there's so much, but one of the things he talked about was, Kaizen, one step at a time, but universal principles that he mentioned. One is a new plan and a new environment. And to me, that is so refreshing. So that's what got me excited is I want to create a new plan for me. And the new environment, who knows, but so you stay connected to those that support you, which is what all of this is about. And that's what the other reason it's so powerful in NECAN is we have such a support system. Remove the risk if it's you, the innovation and adapt. Okay, so you've got to adapt quickly.
Okay, wait,
And-
pick one. Which is your favorite?
Oh, geez.
Barb, you said toothpaste earlier.
Oh, okay. This wasn't Dean, but I love the analogy of squeezing the toothpaste tube because I do that very well. And what he said was, you're treating your group or your team or your downline like a toothpaste and you're squeezing every inch out of them. Forget it. Stop squeezing the toothpaste. In other words, if they want to come along, they'll come along, and then just keep working with new people. And I love that.
Attraction marketing. Boy, I tell you, yeah, it's hard and disappointing, I guess, when people don't do what is in their best interest. And that's when we have a tendency to squeeze. I'm guilty, totally guilty of that, because they need to know, and you don't know, is my role here to push them past that hurdle, or is it to just keep dangling the carrot? I'm not sure. Sometimes it's, what do they say? It's easier with honey than it is with, what is that saying? Anyway, you know the saying, better
Well,
with honey.
Yeah, the thing about it is, though, that we spend so much time with that, even though
Yeah.
they're wonderful people and they need to know it, but your energy is raised when you have a new person that's with you. So
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, don't squeeze the toothpaste.
now, literally, I'm going to keep doing it, but
Okay. All right, Barb Bertucci, what was your takeaway from the GoPro?
Aside from blowing my speaker out on my computer, I think the noise and the volume, I hope I come across okay. So many things. I'm going to add Tonka time.
Oh, tell us about that one. That was such a good one. That, I
Tonka
mean,
time,
the tears that were flowing after she spoke was unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. It was my birthday weekend. So I have to say I missed some of the late night people and that I had different events that were happening, but she was God-given.
Michelle Nichols is who we're speaking about, by the way. She's an author and speaker if you want to learn more about that. Go ahead, Barb.
Yeah.
Lisa Nichols.
Oh, sorry, Michelle.
Say it again.
Lisa Nichols.
I'm sorry.
Lisa
You're
Nichols.
right. Lisa Nichols. Who did I
Lisa.
say? Michelle Nichols? Right. No, Lisa Nichols.
Lisa.
Getting two
Lisa
people
Nichols.
confused. Lisa
And,
Nichols.
So she just really spoke from her heart and down to her soul, and how, you just transform along the way. But she shared it with her son, and every time she bought her son a gift, he would break it within days or whatever. It would just break. And so she said, oh, it lasts 14 days. So she wasn't going to spend more than $14 because he broke this toy all the time. And she left the store with a $14 thing, and she's hearing God, a message saying, go back in there and buy that Tonka toy. And it was $44, and she's like mad and aggravated. And she goes in and she buys that 44 exchanges for the $44 toy. And she's like, God, it's just going to break or whatever. But he would smash it down and it would bounce or whatever, but it would just creep along, and then smash it down, and then it would creep along. And she just had this whole analogy about, and it just kept on going. And he got tired of it and gave it to the nephew, and he taught the nephew how to use the toy and smash the toy, and it would bounce and it would just creep along. And, and so to me, it was no matter what knocks you down, gets you going, whatever, you know, people saying things or whatever, you just get back up. And it's not how great you are or what, it's that you just keep moving things forward. You just keep that steady pace and just keep going, because it will pan out. It will be creative, you know. So I just love that durability and the heart she had with the Tonka time. And I had 16 pages of notes the first night, Mike. And then, you know, I just got pages. I ran out of paper. I'm in my house is staged. I'm like digging for paper, and it was awesome. Really great. Thanks
Right
for the push. Thanks for the nudge, really, because I wasn't going to do it. And I did it because of your sharing about it on my birthday weekend.
Awesome. Awesome. I just am thrilled. I'm thrilled that you,
Oh,
you were
and
able to do that.
75,000 people. I mean, I was in room Z41. I mean, like, and each room had at least what, 250 or 400 people in it. And think about every alphabet. And then there was H11 or C12, and they all have, I mean, just amazing.
It's
And
an
the breakout
extraordinary
sessions,
production. Yeah, that's one. I
people
had a
from
lot of fun in the breakouts.
Africa, Australia, New Zealand, I mean, everywhere. It was just beautiful. Great to be a part of. Thank
I was
you.
in room Z or Z.
All right, let's move on to Carol. Carol Cosby. What's your great takeaway from GoPro?
It was Barry Barringer. Past failures are not predictions of your future
Yes, I
success.
love that one. I'm glad you brought that one up. That was one of those ones that stuck out for me. Say that again.
Past failures are not predictions of your future success. She said it another way too, but I missed it. But that was that, and then she said it that way. I like the first way she said it, but I didn't jot it down correctly, so I caught the second part. But I really like that because, you know, she was talking about the inner voices that you hear, um, and how it makes you think that you tried this before, so why are you going to try it again? Well, with everything that we've learned, change, restructure stuff, it's possible to accomplish what you want to do once you commit yourself to it. So
Yeah. Oh, that was brilliant. Yeah. Bob Proctor would say to me, the past doesn't equal the future. So yeah, past failures are not predictions of your future success. That's a fantastic way of looking at it. And her story is great. And she's a phenomenal speaker. I really enjoyed her demeanor, her whole, she's like business. She's my style, very business, very like matter of fact. I really liked her approach. Thanks for that, Carol. That's a great one. Paul
Mike,
Gabius.
what was her name again? Which one? Because
That
of
was Barry. Oh, what's the last name?
Baumgartner,
Partner.
Baumgartner.
I'm Gardner.
Baumgartner.
BAUNGARDNER.
Baumgartner. Yeah. So she started I think she's who helped create the event itself,
Yeah.
because she was part of the production, or she is the production company that they must have partnered with or contracted with when they set out to create this. And she talked about her moving to New York and how, you know, she had nothing. She had zero, and she started a business and took a shot. You know, she, instead of going into the basement, she went to New York and started a business and grew that business. And now this business is a multi-million-dollar business because she just had she made the decision, rather than to do what was convenient, to do what was in her heart, her passion.
And she's
So-
Eric and Marina's personal coach.
Yeah, also their personal coach. Paul Gabius.
Yes. Okay. So what I remembered, what struck me was the 3 levels of income in network marketing. So 1 to 100,000, the first level, and then 100,000 to $1 million, and then above $1 million. And I'm thinking, gosh, with my job, I'm just above the first level, maybe 120,000 or something. I've got to do things differently. And we're perfectly positioned to do this in NECAN, but I was really struck by how the level of income that people were making, so many people on stage were making. And I thought to myself, I have everything they have, and more. So there's no reason why I can't create an organization like that. Absolutely no reason. And it's time for it to happen. And we have the best people in NECAN. Everything that they said, Mike and Bo, you've been saying for years. So we just have to do it.
Absolutely. Good stuff. So yeah, I like that because you get perspective. In an event like that, you generate some perspective as to, first of all, where you are and where you could be. Because at all things being equal, all network marketing companies being equal, and they're not, but all things being equal, when you look at the income possibilities that network marketing affords, you know, what holds us back from going beyond 100,000? It's not network marketing. And it's certainly not our company. So what is it that's got you in a certain income bracket? It's what? Who is available to meet with right away to have that conversation that's responsible for your income? The person in the mirror, right? Because the possibility is there. So yeah, I like when you see perspective. When you see a girl who's making Stormy Weathers, who's making $1 million a year, $1 million a month, not $1 million a year, $1 million a month. When you look at those things, what's her name? She went from like 200,000 or 300,000 a month to over $500,000 a month in a year. That's one with all the tattoos.
Jessie Lee Ward.
Jessie Lee Ward, yeah. So she's again another person who just made a decision. I really liked. I can't encapsulate her story, but I think it was the thing that I took away with was she put it out there. She put it out there. You know, there was one that I really like. You know, I think it was Dean who said, we're going to repel some of the people we don't want, and we're going to attract the people that we want. Oh, imagine that for a second. Just hold that thought for 1 second. What? You're going to repel the people that you don't want, and you're going to attract the people that you want? How would you like to work with a network of people that you actually want and repel the people who you don't want? Because we all have people in our lives that we know we don't want in our business, and we don't have to spend time with and deal with all the blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So you put it out there and you anticipate there are some people you're not going to want, and better you repel them. So I like what he was talking about, his hook, you know, put the thing out there and you'll see real quick if they're attracted or if they're not attracted. And don't spend your time trying to attract somebody you don't want to attract. Just the idea that you could actually do that. There's another gal used to say no first. Kim Clavers used to say no first. So I like that thought too. Okay, let's move from who's got her hand up next? Is that Madeline? Yeah, Madeline.
Thank you, Mike. For me, vision has to be big enough. So I need to up the ante on this vision and all out massive action. And what was exciting for me is I had 4 others beside myself, and 2 are here tonight, and the other 2 couldn't make it tonight. And if you can't see her face, I just want you to see Gloria Zavala's face, because she's on and her face is on, and she was here earlier today and we're already moving, and I couldn't be more excited. So when we talk about a lock-in event, and then my new Silver, she couldn't be here tonight either. Karen Manath from last week. She's having some health issues, so she isn't here this evening. And so one was here with me and the others were at their spots. And so the texting back and forth, the communication back and forth, you know, that energy of being able to be with the people and during the breaks and so forth. And what I got out of that was learning more about them, the listening rather than the presenting, and where they are and where they've been. So it was the most interactive and the most significant Eric Worre event. I've been to a few of his others before, but I guess it's timing. And Mike, I really have to applaud you here. You know, it was 6 years. It's 6 years when you started Launch Partners and flew across Canada, and your second stop in the United States was here in Cleveland. And so we talk about timing, and what a beautiful ending to this year and the pre-launch. There wasn't anything that they didn't teach in all the time that you have not taught since the first Team Diamond meeting I met, and I have that U-Cube downstairs too in my archives. And so I guess, as Mary said, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. And so we've been hearing it over and over again, but sometimes it's like listening to your own parents, somebody else's parent,
Yep.
you know. You have to
Never
hear
a
it
prophet
from
in your
them.
own land.
Yeah, be never a prophet in your own land. So I really want to thank you for your leadership, and your leadership is obviously evident here with the cross-line support. And I think it's time for the United States to catch up to Leo LeMay, and for us to have Team USA and Team Canada, and make it Team North America and catch up to Latin America. Good Lord.
There you
So,
go.
yeah,
Hey, listen,
yeah.
exactly, you know, and it starts with vision, Madeline. It starts with vision. A decision is not made until you know what it is you want. And so you have to have that idea first in your head. Vision, big enough. There was one comment that came out, I can't recall who it was. It may have been Eric, who said, oh yeah, it was Eric, because he was talking about whether or not, you know, if you had to do something, whatever that thing was, if you don't perceive the payoff on the other end of that being sufficient, you just aren't going to be motivated to go ahead and do it. So the example, the analogy that I would use, in fact, I sent this out on one of the chats. And by the way, if you are not on the GoPro chat, we started a different chat, WhatsApp chat for people who attended GoPro. It's only for people who attended GoPro, because it'd be like talking Greek if you're not part of that vernacular, that group. So we did start a chat for those who were at the GoPro, if you don't know it, if you wanted to plug into it.
How do you get onto that?
Just send me a text.
All right.
So the idea was, the concept is, why don't people make their list and contact everybody on their list as fast as possible? Well, they don't necessarily perceive the payoff on the other end of that. And because if they did, and he would use an example, and my example in this case would be, so if I paid you $1,000, no, I think I said 10,000, whatever it was a big number. If I paid you 10,000 to get through your 100 names in the next month, how many of you would take me up on that offer? Of course, everybody would take me up on that offer. I said, and if I paid an extra 5,000 to the person who came in first, who did it faster than anybody else, how many of you have been willing to up the ante? And of course, now you start to see who really wants to play. So it's not about what has to get done. It's the willingness to do it based on what they perceive as the payoff. So sometimes what that means, what the translation here is, you've got to help them connect the dots. Because if they don't see the payoff, which is why an event like Eric's event is so powerful, because you're getting to witness a lot of people who've made the grade. They played the game, they played it hard for a number of years. They all had their upstart years. They all went through their tragic experiences, losing their group, starting again, whatever. They all have their horror stories, but they came through it. And the payoff that you're experiencing in the quality of the human being that you're seeing on stage, in the way they speak and teach, and you see, this is the kind of person we're talking about becoming. And of course, the success, the monetary success, and the freedom of time that they have, and how that's impacted family, people around them, that's the payoff. When you see the payoff is worth it, then you're willing to do the work. And so show people the payoff is worth it. We need to start showing people their 90-day performance, their 90-day story is a story worth having. So we're going to rekindle the nomenclature that we used in the U-Cube system, and it's sort of a network marketing staple, and that is your personal success story. We're going to help you focus on creating your own personal success story. So this is what it's about when you do a 90-day blast. It's about a personal success story. What can you change in 90 days? That becomes something that we want to show as a payoff. so that people then learn it's worth the effort, it's worth doing the list, it's worth, etc. Okay, let's see. Dee, you're next.
Okay, thank you.
By the
couple
way,
things.
if you've already gone, can you please lower your hand so I know you're not in that call order still? Go ahead. Sorry, Dee.
It's okay. So I think this was from Ed Milet, and he said, we have the power in our hands to change someone's life in one meeting. And that was just a great reminder of, I mean, that's probably how we all were introduced to Nikon, by one meeting. And whatever that impact was, whether for me, it was to see how my body responded to the product demonstrations and the taste of the water compared from the Pimax system compared to my tap water. I mean, it wasn't anything out of this world, and yet it was, because it was stuff I never knew about. And, you know, coming from a healthcare background. So that was just a good reminder. And then one other thing that I think it was said by Stormy Wellington, and she was talking about new rules for life. And she said to have inner balance and outer boundaries.
That's a good point. Inner balance, outer boundaries. Because how are you going to have balance if you don't have any boundaries? Right on. I'm not sure if we lost you there. Yeah, we got you.
No, I'm here.
Okay, great.
And I mean, I think, yeah, and I'm still sort of unpacking that a bit. I mean, what's obvious is there. But I think, okay, what are the outer boundaries? A lot of it is distractions that I allow to enter in. You know, it's not necessarily somebody else. It's my own sabotaging or self-imposed distractions.
Let me touch on that for a second, because somebody brought that up as well. One of the ladies on the call on the event, she said something about, I see myself as $1 million earner. That's $500 an hour. So when I entertain people, things, circumstances, I'm calculating whether this is worth my $500 an hour. It puts it into perspective so that you stop wasting time with things that are not worth your time. And that's, I think, a real interesting way of looking at your time, the value of your time, because you can spend a lot of time with people that's non-productive. And in Nikon, honest to God, this is the company of bleeding hearts. So we tend to spend way more time than we ever should talking about stuff that's really not adding to the equation. It's interpersonal, it's, you know, relationship and stuff. But if you were being more objective with your time, because your time was really valuable, and it's a measure of decisions that you're making, how often you're making decisions, and the problems you're solving, are these big problems you're solving or small problems you're solving, because that's in direct correlation to law of attraction and what you're worth, and therefore the income you're earning. So we spend way too much time solving insignificant problems, and that takes us away from upping our game. So yeah, that's tied back to vision. So start looking at the value of your time from a monetary perspective, not from what you're currently earning, but from the position of the earning you expect to be earning. Because as you begin to act, think like the person you wish to be, you will start to experience the effects of the person you wish to be. So yeah, good one. Inner balance, outer boundaries. I think we had Ron first before we go back to Barb. Ron, you had a comment that you wanted to make. Thanks for that, Dee.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike, it kind of builds on making a decision, but the other part was, not to blame the company or to blame my upline or to blame downline, blame whatever, but I take responsibility for what I do or I don't do. It's not what somebody else did or what somebody else didn't do, or what the company did or what the company didn't do. It's me. I take responsibility for my actions, and I'm the one that can make it happen. And if it doesn't happen, I think you kind of touched on this. It's the person in the mirror that's looking back at me when I look at that is, and I thought, that's an important point, because often we will hear somebody say, well, if this would have happened, or if they would have done whatever. And really, there was an analogy of a business, and one succeeded and one failed. And it's, because one chose in the pandemic, one chose to change how they operated, and their business became thrived and succeeded. And the other one, said, it's the pandemic, I can't do anything. And they were both they were both restaurants. And I think that was in Dean's section that he shared that. But anyway, that was the other point that I was going to share.
I think somebody was talking about innovation, right? How in that scenario, we're called upon to be creative and innovative rather than blaming.
Yeah. And those two restaurants it was just such a great story of where in the same town, they were just a few miles apart. Both restaurants, both food service, but one of them leaned back, folded his arms, and said, "The pandemic, what can I do? I can't serve people now." And the other one said, "Well, let's see. Okay, well, we got to keep 6 feet apart. We expand outside." And what did he say? I forget how many locations that restaurant
65.
now had, where they've duplicated. 65, yeah.
65.
What? No, that's something. And both 65, and both food service, both had the same pandemic, but one did not blame that for not being successful, and it was that innovation. So that was the other aspect that had come to mind, Mike.
Awesome, great.
And
great.
Rory used the same example of where he was confined in Las Vegas, and now he had 55,000, I think, actually showed up, is what he said, but that was pretty impressive. And to be able to see all of that in the interaction, that they did the same thing, took advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. We had another hand go up, and I'm not sure if I got this right. Barb, it's you.
Yeah.
Richmond? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I love stories comment. You can start from Yale, or you can start from jail. It doesn't matter. And then one of the ladies said along the same lines is it doesn't matter where you start. She has a public high school diploma and an MBA, a massive bank account. Thanks to network marketing. So, I mean, a different analogy, but it still gets the point across. And things happen for you, not to you. And comparison will be the thief of your joy.
Awesome.
I've got 63 pages of notes. I've
Wow.
got lots to pick from.
Imagine that. That's a novel.
It is.
Okay, Barb
I got
Richmond,
writer's cramp.
Barb Bertucci, did you have another thing?
Yeah,
that
I
you
had
wanted to
another
point out?
point, Mike,
Yeah.
and it was from I want to say Ivan Tapia. He was a civil engineer, and just a beautiful man and a beautiful presence. And he had the 4 seasons, and that you're always going to go through the 4 seasons. And the rhythm of life, the flow, the ebb and flow, the plant, the seed, the wait for the harvest, beautifully done. But I loved, and I underlined, highlighted, give yourself permission to succeed. And we forget this part. It's okay, especially women, that it's okay for us to be successful. It's okay for us to succeed, to have the $1 million, to have the money, to have the abundance. So I just really, I like that part. I liked him a lot. He was really great on day 2.
It doesn't seem, it made it seem obvious. What do you mean, give yourself permission to succeed? Everybody wants to succeed. That's not the point. We have a subconscious mind that's working against us. So when you actively give yourself permission to succeed, you're overriding the subconscious mind. So yeah, give yourself permission to succeed. You have
And then,
no idea how much of that.
Stormy woke me up when she said she meditates every morning and visualizes 70,000 people in her downline. And I'm like, holy cow, like, like I've never, and so I started visualizing the duplicate. I mean, Mike, you have a great organization. I've got a great organization. We've got lots of people in our organization, but 70, wait, excuse me. Yeah, 70.
Stormy's got more than 70. I think you might think
I think
700,000.
700,000.
Yeah.
700,000 people that she visualizes her business growing to. She probably has 70,000 in it right now. But that was just phenomenal. And I started doing that yesterday. I was like, okay, I can see the countries opening. I can see the other things happening. I can just see it, you know, enveloping. So, you know, and growing. So thank you.
One more, Paul Gabias.
Yeah, I'm working with somebody going silver. So it brings me back to the very beginnings. And something that Eric is doing, and a sort of a goal that he had really surprised me. He's got on YouTube, you can find it, day 1 all the way through to day 5, Recruiting Mastery 2021 or something like that. They're about an hour long. And he said at the end of this class, my goal is to have you sponsor one person. And I thought, one? But what that's telling me is that there's a lot of work that has to go into a person's head before they can actually get to that one person. And you never know who that person will be. But once that work is done, they can continue for 2, 3, and 4. And I was struck by the fact that with all the income he has, he's able to go back to the basics, the very basics with people, which is recruiting. And I encourage people to listen to that, those 5 days of recruiting. I think it's, I'm finding it helpful with my silver.
I totally agree. The thing that I think I love the most about GoPro is we don't talk about a company.
Yeah.
We don't talk about a product or a product line. It's the pure business side of the equation, which in my opinion is always the part of the equation that is that's where the real growth takes place. It's because learning to talk about a product and share a product that you're familiar with and you're comfortable with, that's not hard. It's learning how to attract people into a conversation that takes a little bit more energy, a little bit more effort, where you need to really start to reach into the vision that a person might have for themselves, because we're not talking about a transaction now, we're talking about a transformation. And that's a much more challenging conversation to have, and to then bring somebody with confidence into a place where you feel and they feel that there's going to be value. So that business education is where I spend most, if not all of my time, and have since I've been in Nikken. It's because it's the place where I think we fall short. I think we have the best products in the world, but we lack in our business acumen. That's where we need to put the effort in. Okay, we're running out of time. I do want to point out one thing before we carry on. For those of you who are silver, next week is the event with Nikken. It's a 2-day event, Friday and Saturday. If you haven't registered already for the Nikken Summit, the Nikken Summit is where we talk business. So you're going to be learning some stuff and participating in some stuff that I think is really, really critical to going into 2022. If you're silver, that ought to be in your calendar of events. That ought to be a priority in your life, regardless of what other things you got going on in your life, because you want to be part of 2022 and its creation. Then you want to be part of that that meeting. So silvers and above, just remind everybody, I had to remind a group tonight, you're the CEO of your own business. You decide what you want to do, but just ask yourself, is it in the best interest of your business to ignore that particular event or that particular activity or that particular thing? When you demonstrate a lack of commitment to your business, your business responds in kind. So just don't forget, we are the mirror, and we're creating our own reality. Okay, Madeline, short, quick, to the point.
Ona brought it up earlier on ATR, and you just mentioned business. One of the speakers, and I don't remember who it is, said, treat it like a job instead of treating it like a business. And Mike, most of us didn't come from network marketing or being a serial entrepreneur. We came from working from somewhere, and that's what people want out of now, or they've lost their jobs. And so people know when they're working, they have to go to work, they have to follow rules, they have to be on time, they have to dress properly. And so that's what a 90, and people don't treat this like those kind of rules where you really have to stick to a schedule. So I thought that was different because
that's interesting.
Yeah. And we treat it like a business. Well, who's been a business owner? I wasn't a business owner. And so we talk about teaching the entrepreneurial mindset, but it goes back to certifying people to teach the entrepreneurial mindset, because if you haven't been in network marketing, or if you never owned a business, and he gave the example of, well, if I'm the business owner, I'm going to take off and go on vacation. Well, do you just do that at work? And then you don't have any income coming in?
This is an interesting point.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to explore this. Treat it like a job, not like a business. That's
Yes.
really interesting, because I've always said,
especially now,
treat it like a business, not like a hobby, because hobbies cost you money, businesses make you money. That's really interesting. That's interesting, because you're right. People do not know what they do not know if they've never been in business. Yeah. Carol, you're up.
Dean Grazios, one of his sayings was, why would you expect someone else to believe in your dreams when God gave it to you? And I think that was in the content of, again, you're doing this and you're doing it again and it's not working. Well, if it's meant for you, it's meant for you. And it's your dream, so you stick with it.
Carol, I can see you delivering that message on stage. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Cool.
and that ties into their dream, not our dream, really finding out what their why is, Michael.
Right.
Barb Satterwhite.
Yes, I know we don't have time tonight, but maybe another night. I love when Eric Worre went over the massive action game plan.
Yeah.
And he talks about the pre-launch, and he sets out, you can do your whole business plan about what he said with your goals, your income goals, your rank, your personal recruits, your personal customers. And I love the core rank. Determine your core rank. Well, the core rank for us is silver.
Correct.
And that was just okay, so and then do a core rank inventory. Okay, what do you have right now in that inventory of silvers? And then how to go about helping them. And I think that hit the way for him to end it and all of that. And then that dovetails into the 90-day plan. So I think that we should spend the night on that.
Listen, I'm totally into that, because those of you who study what I teach, I'm looking for it, but it's in here somewhere. If you've seen the $1 million list, and on the flip side of the $1 million list, I swear I must have animals come and take stuff away from my desk, because I have stuff here, but it just never in my reach when I absolutely need it. It's
Nice to see you not totally organized.
I'm so glad it happens. I'm so glad it happens to him.
So it used to be here. Okay, whatever. No, it's not. Oh, there it is. It's under everything. Here you go. Talk about a 90-day plan. What does it say? Focus 90. It's a 90-day business launch. And what is the end in mind of those 90 days? Where is it? The core rank. Whoops, fingers right there. See that? So it's a plan. It's a 90-day launch. Ends in a core rank.
He also had a sit 99%. Don't sit down, but just halfway sit. Remember that? And you couldn't sit all the way down. So unless you were 100% in, you know, it's just underlining, you got to have both feet. You got to be doing it, you know, all the way.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, listen,
And
we
how
we
did
could
you
go on
like
for
the
hours.
very end? How he had that gentleman from Africa explain the pyramid scheme. I mean, I thought that was pretty cool, you know, because it's handling that objection visually like that. It could make sense to anybody.
I guess the lesson learned here, guys, is for those of you who are just watching this, especially on the playback, and you didn't attend GoPro, don't ever let that happen again. It is a staple of our industry. I mean, if you were in a job and you had the company, whatever, luau or whatever it is that you guys do as a company, annual retreat, whatever, you know, where would you be? There'd be no question about where you would be. You'd be wherever they asked you to be. So your business, your network marketing business is going to thrive if you succeed at learning how to do a network marketing business. And we thrive when we use events, when we leverage events. I mean, I bought tickets for people. I made a business investment in this event because I really believe that the lock-in event is the critical component to switching somebody from being just a consultant, just somebody who's part of NECAN, to somebody who sees for themselves a future that has those three types of incomes where they can see what's possible. And when they can see what's possible through the eyes of people who are just like them at one point in time, and they make that connection internally, that internal connection happens, then you've done your job. At this point in time, all you can do is fan the flames. And I think that's all our job is our job is to bring the horse to water. You can't make them drink, but you can put salt in their oats and make them thirsty. So these events really do the work of 1,000 times conversation. So critical. Again, next weekend, we have our event of the year, the NECAN Summit. Silvers and above, be there. And,
Mike, remind people they can still get $97 for next year up through midnight tonight. They extended that GoPro for next year.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, right. That is. So what's the URL to get your ticket?
It's
to midnight tonight. It's
GoPro,
midnight Pacific tonight.
Yeah, GoPro2022.com.
GoPro2022.com. So $97 a ticket. Now, just if you were trying to get tickets in the last few days, they were $397 US a ticket. So that's the difference. Save $300 a ticket. And believe me when I tell you, when you get your ticket and you're going, you're going to be like I was, scrambling to get tickets at the 11th hour because you got people you need to get into that meeting. So do yourself a favor like I did, buy a few extra tickets because you will use them. Promise you will use them. All right. Thanks everybody for being a part of this. Don't forget, we got tons of stuff going on until the middle of December for Double PV. We've got free shipping. We've got in Canada up to December 10 to get your orders in for pre-Christmas, December 21 for the United States to get your orders in for pre-Christmas. And yeah, it's already looking like it's going to be a fantastic month. November was a blowout month. So I think we are going to have a fantastic 2022, but it's all up to you. Talk to you later, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thanks much.
Good night.